welcome back to the Burning Man tips and tricks for virgins. I wanted to discuss a little bit on this vlog about camping options at Burning Man. So I think if you're going for the first time, it can be a really intimidating part of it. People don't talk about very often is, where do I camp? Where do I go? Where's best to go? What works for me? And as you know, the city, we've got over 70,000 people. It's growing every year it's just exponentially growing, and the choices you have before you get larger each year. And so I think there's a couple of things you have to take into consideration. One is location. So the city is sort of, if you look at an aerial, it's shaped sort of like a C, and in fact I'll put an aerial in here so you can see from above. And so it's very large, and it's got rows, and Esplanade is the front row, and then behind it each year they get different names, but it goes all the way back, in letters, and each row is filled with its own individual camps. Some camps are villages, and that is a communal collective of different camps, and some are independent camps, like our Camp Relay. And so ultimately where you make a choice camp is going to be up to you. There is also individual camping at the back where you can just bring your tent and set up. But ideally, I would say if it's your first time, you're going to have a better experience camping with an established camp, and there's several reasons for this. One is they know what they're doing, okay? If the camp is established, you're going to have a better chance of getting things like a shower facility, communal meals, and yes, most of these camps will have deposits, and this money goes into camp funds for building, providing water, and things that fuel back into the camp. And that can range anywhere. I've seen camp dues as low as 20, ours is 300, and I've seen them go up to 1,000. It just depends on your location and the amenities and the things that are being offered. Just because you're paying, let's say, $300 for a camp fee does not mean you're going to get catered cooking or things are going to be provided for you. This is Burning Man, and again, going back to that radical self-reliance principle, it is very much about part of the experience, part of the enjoyment is the survival and looking after yourself and the elements. So yes, there can be things like communal eating, and that's great. I love the sense of gathering together. So there is another option here when it comes to picking. You can find the list of camps online. I will also provide a link below so that you can find those. A lot of them are themed, so maybe it's that you like dressing up, and so our neighbours this year are costume cult, and they just bring all these clothes and they dress up. There's a camp, it's just, if you like hooping, there's a camp that's just dedicated to hooping. Our Camp Relay is circus themed, and so we have a lot of circus acts and performances and fire hoop and go-go dances and things like that. Point is, there is a camp for everything. There's bubbles and bass, there's a black rock roller disco, and most of them each year are looking for campmates. So if you just send an email and you find them online and say, hey look, I'm looking for somewhere to camp this year, they are more than likely, if it's early on, to say yes. Even if you're a virgin, they're not going to hold that against you. They're going to welcome you in, and they will help you out. And so I think that's a really important part of it. But also, yes, back to the location. Esplanade camps, you're going to get that beautiful, it's like the oceanfront property, you're going to get the front view of a man, and that's great. But you're also going to have to sacrifice some things like the noise level. Because of the sound camps, it is going to be slightly louder on Esplanade. There's also more traffic. Imagine, if you will, that Esplanade is a highway, and so all the traffic's going to be coming in front of your camp every day, which is great if you love people watching. So if you want to wake up in the morning, take your coffee, go sit out on the front line, watch the man, see the people, and Esplanade is probably a good choice for you. If you want something more quiet and intimate, some of the back camps are oftentimes a better idea. And keep in mind, when I say quiet, there is no true sense of quiet at Burning Man. There'll always be that sort of womp 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 going on, but I'll discuss in another video. But you can bring earplugs, a lot of people do, to help sleep at night. If you're in an RV, that's going to be a slightly easier situation. So yes, look up the camps, look up the location, look it up on the map, and decide what's good for you. So let's talk about actual camping options. Let's say you've selected your camp and you paid your dues, you need to figure out next what you're going to be bringing there. and how you're going to be camping. And a lot of people at Burning Man, if you have the funds, this is my preference and I do believe this way to go, is to get an RV. If you have the RV, you can get air conditioning, which is absolutely vital in the desert. You're going to get shelter, just already ready to go. You're not going to have to set up your tent and worry about that. You're cooking in there. Oftentimes there will be a shower in the RV if you're a girl and you're concerned about showering. So even if you're in RV, I would suggest military shower on, off, wash on, off. It's just easier because your grey water tank does fill up, and while there are services at Burning Man that will come and dispose of your grey water, a lot of times they're difficult to track down, or you have to book them in advance, and so I wouldn't rely on that. So don't go taking a shower every day in your RV. That will end up going badly for you, I promise you. So yes, RV is the primary option. With your generator fees are going to go up. The price, it ranges. It usually ends up being about anywhere between $2,000 and $4,000 depending on the RV. It can go up in price above that. And yes, that seems like a lot of money, but remember, in a lot of these RVs you can fit a lot of people. So I have seen instances, in fact I myself, we've had up to 7 people in an RV with us before, and there's been enough space to fit everyone and sleep everyone. I've seen up to 14 people crammed into an RV at Burning Man before. So it just comes down to preference. I mean, if you split that cost between everyone, your friends who are going, it becomes much more affordable. Alternatives to this is obviously tenting. I have a friend, he brings a yurt, using things such as solar panels or getting forward to deflect the sun helps a lot. A lot of them will be insulated, but ultimately it is very hot at Burning Man, and you have to understand, even if you've set up like a swamp cooler inside your tent, it is likely still to get very hot, and there is going to be a brief window in which you're going to end up sleeping, and it's because here's the thing, it's the desert, so it gets very cold at night. Very, very cold, okay, and very hot during the day, and so it's usually at the early morning, like the prime period for sleeping when you're in a tent is around 6 a.m. because the sun hasn't come up yet and it's still cold but not as cold, and so you get this little nice window there of, I think it's like 3 hours or something, so that's your sleeping spot. Some people are very clever and they do bring things like swamp coolers and heaters and blankets. I've seen people be really smart about it. If you are bringing any kind of tent, whether it's a yurt or tent you're going to stake down, whatever, do stake it down properly, okay? Don't just bring like a carport from Walmart or cheap tent that you got online, because I swear to God the winds are bad at Burning Man. I've seen this happen so much. People will set up all their tents and they'll be so happy, and then the wind will come and they'll just be sitting there and you'll just see their tent just blow away, and the carport will just blows away off out into Esplanade, and you're running after, trying to help them get their tent back. So be smart about that. Get candy cane rebars. A lot of times accounts will have the tools necessary to help you get those into the ground, because the ply is thick, okay, but don't rely on that. Bring hammers, bring drills, whatever you need to do to get that into the ground. Also, if you do use stakes or rebars, make sure you either put usually what we do is a little orange flag by them, because what you don't want is to come back into your camp and it's pitch dark and you just want to go to sleep and you're wandering around in the dark and you end up tripping over someone's fucking stake or rebar and cracking your head open or something. You just don't want to be in that position. It happens every year, so be smart. So yes, I hope that has been a little bit helpful for you. If you have any interest in camping with Brûlé, I will put a link below. We may be full this year, but every year we usually end up taking around 70-80 people. So yeah, have a look and weigh your options, but whatever you end up doing, whether it's the RV or the tent, have fun with it, guys. That's the important thing, and do what's good for you and what will be comfortable for you. Okay guys, take care.